I have no love for Pete Hegseth. Neither does Jen. He might very well be a neo-Nazi white supremacist. All those things is very possible. But you know what I know? I know that he is not a swamp dweller of the highest order, and I know he's not somebody who's itching for a war with Iran. But you know who is itching for a war with Iran? The biggest warmongering cocksucker in all of politics, and that's
it has to be John Bolton.
Of course.
Job.
No, I think he should resign for his own safety's sake, if nothing else. This is
for his own safety's
sake. What does that mean, John?
What does that mean? Well, when you are gifted awards with grenades on them, you really have to wonder what the intentions are when somebody like John Bolton goes on CNN and says, for his own safety, he might want to think about stepping down. Why
is that I mean, it almost sounds like a threat.
It almost sounds like a threat.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I know what I heard.
Critical time for the American military. We understand the Trump administration will rightly propose enormous budget increases for defense. We need it.
We do? We need enormous increases for defense spending, Jen?
No. Yeah. Well, Hegseth just isn't hardcore enough for them. I guess he needs to go get some more, skinhead tattoos or something.
I've often said that the biggest thing about Hegseth, even if, like I said, is it possible that he's a white supremacist? It's certainly possible. I've seen some of his ink. But let's assume for a moment that he is. Do you know what else Pete Hegseth is? He's a veteran. He served in combat. This is a guy who actually has seen war up close and personal in a way that John Bolton never did. And so naturally, it's often people like Hegseth that say, wait a second, you're trying to start a war with Iran? Are you out of your fucking mind?
Well, but yet this is what will ultimately get him to be the next one removed now that Waltz is out. With Waltz being out and him wanting to just, relocate him to the UN and put him in a useless position. But
no, Waltz, if you're hearing this, and maybe this gets back to you, listen, Florida's 6th congressional district, they don't really like Randy Fine. They don't really want him there. So if you really want your seat back, you might as well go chase it down, because you probably could win it back next election cycle. I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there. I know Mike Waltz is nothing to write home about.
No, but he's a lot better than Randy Fine.
Randy, not so fine.
Secretary who can get the job done, not somebody who spends his time on Signal chat groups.
And just
okay, we have never addressed the Signal chat. Could we all just admit that this was a deliberate leak? Does anyone really think that they were intending for that information to get out there?
Can we all just admit that the problem has nothing to do with that? The problem is that we're in an illegal war against Yemen. Can we address that for a second? Can we not give a shit about who told what, who? What? Can we not? I don't understand why we're talking about that. Who gives a shit? We are illegally attacking a sovereign nation.
And on top of everything else, Jen, the poorest nation on earth.
But it's, you know what, the Yemeni people, it's very similar to, I've said this before, they're very similar to the Palestinian people in terms of, it's like they're connected to their land and you're not going to do anything about it. They're not going anywhere. We have wasted so much money and weaponry in the past. And again, for me, actually, I don't care. Waste away. I don't even know why I'm saying it. I give a shit about that. But, they keep dropping bombs in Yemen and they're getting absolutely nowhere. But of course, they're killing civilians. And so for them, that's just sort of like icing on the cake. Oh. But they're not going to stop them. The Yemeni people are not going to be stopped by that. They're not. They're not. You would have to seriously do some sort of deep underground nuke weapon situation, and then say goodbye to Israel on their way out the door.
And the biggest reason why they attack Yemen nonstop is because Yemen does not want to play ball with Israel.
No, they're the ones that are blocking everything from coming in the Red Sea. And they're the ones that are the only frigging signatories of the Genocide Convention that are in compliance right now. The only ones. Because the Genocide Convention, although I will say we're not a party to it because we're above that. We're not a party to the Genocide Convention. But the Genocide Convention set and specifically calls out that you not only are not allowed to perpetrate a genocide, you have an obligation to offensively stop the genocide. And nobody else seems to be complying with that but Ansar Allah.
RJK,
So as far as I'm concerned, that's the only people in compliance.
RJK, we never stopped bombing Yemen. This has been going on for a decade.
Oh yeah, no. This actually started under Obama. It's probably before that, but he amped it up. This goes back really till about 2014. And what we were doing was we were actually just paying the Saudis to do it for us. But now we are, as of however many few weeks ago, since Trump started, is officially bombing, U.S. is bombing Yemen. No declaration of war. This is a sovereign nation that has not done anything to threaten our country.
Correct. This is
and our president is unilaterally bombing Yemen.
Correct.
And the Yemeni people, man, they are like, thank you, sir. Can I have another? Here's this. And they'll drop another thing in the Red Sea. So you know what? Keep throwing away all of our weapons in the middle of nowhere and not getting anywhere with them.
Well, so much for Trump being an anti-war president.
Someone who is a national security expert, the fact that it was happening on his personal cell phone, how much does that concern you, knowing that foreign adversaries often target top-level national security officials to get into their phones? And
what makes John Bolton a national security expert?
He knows where all the bodies are buried.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, that's why, again, he got a trophy with a grenade attached to it. That makes sense.
And put in spyware.
Yeah, I almost never used my personal phone when I was national security advisor. I mean,
yeah, that's because you don't want to commit war crimes and have that traced back to you. So you got to do it on a burner phone. Am I right, Johnny boy?
the breaches of security at risk in this conduct are enormous. And I think that's one reason why he shouldn't be in the job.
If John Bolton says that somebody shouldn't be on a job,
that's who I'm now going to like. So now
I'm almost inclined to support Hegseth now. But you know what? You know why I would support Hegseth? Because if you consider who they'll replace Hegseth with, it could only get so much worse.
Well, it could definitely get worse. But you know what we're at? We're like, if like two oligarchs were battling and you had to it's like asking me my favorite venereal disease. There is no win there.